Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream, we work on a Django app. We take it all the way out to production. It's a live app, and I walk you through the process. I do every line of code on the stream, so you can see all of it, from the exciting parts to the less exciting parts, but it gives you a complete perspective on everything that's needed. Welcome, Huddy. Glad you're here. And we're going to continue on the stream this evening. This is part, I think, 19 of the stream series for building a journaling app. We've got the app live, and we were figuring out what to do next. What's the next major milestone? The core of the application is built and running, and I'm using it as a user myself. But it's time to expand it and move on to the next thing. So we're going to do that this evening. Thanks for joining in, and we'll get to it. Zephyr, the search and rescue dog. Well, that's an interesting handle. And cool. Well, thanks for joining in. So let's take a look at where we said we were. As we set up a milestone last time, and I've called it users plus plus. And the goal of this milestone is to get to this point where we can allow new users to join on the site. And we have some tools that we've already installed and are using, but we haven't really configured them much. So we're using Django all auth. It's an authentication layer that allows us to make our sign-up process use email, which is really important because if you've never seen the stream before, we're building a journaling app that works via email. So it will send out emails and you respond, and that's how you primarily interface with it. But we do need the web user interface so that folks can sign up, view their content, get exports if they're done with the service, sign up and manage their account, all of that kind of stuff. So we are going to start that process, and last time we worked through what things need to go into this milestone in order to get us where we need to be. So we're going to work straight down this list that's been presented here and see how far we get this evening. Let's jump into this first issue. So I want to make sure that the sign-up page is feature flagged because I can't, the way it's working with email, I'm on a free plan with SendGrid right now. I can't just open up the whole world because as much as I would love to be a smashing success and have tons of people trialing the system, it's just not feasible without me paying a bunch of extra money right now. And the system's not really ready for that anyway, so I don't want people signing up, having a really bad experience, and then bouncing off, even though the service might have been a really great fit for them. So we're going to use a system called feature flags to gate that ability to sign in, and we're going to use a system called Django waffle in order to do it, which is a really fantastic tool for using feature flags. Feature flags is a concept where you either show functionality or not based off of some state that you have, and that will be captured in a database. All right, so we've got our app here, and actually before we get going, let's there's a pull request that we have to deal with. Again, remember this is showing you every bit of this, so there's some like periodic cleanup work that we have to do. So let's go ahead and merge this pre-commit change. There's a pre-commit change to rough, the linting tool that we have, so we're going to do the merge from pre-commit, and that's now there. So we'll pull that and make sure we're working from the latest stuff here. Okay, so we're back to the latest. We trust that everything's going properly, and we're in a position where we can pay attention now to, is this the right project? Yes, it is. To what we need to set up next. So we've already got some templates from previous work. Let's not focus too much on that. Howdy, do I use Django REST framework in my day job? We do. My company is, so it's interesting, or I should more accurately say, we did would be more accurate, like active development. My company that I work for, so I work for Included Health. I'm actually wearing company merch here, although I'm not trying to be some shill for it. Is a healthcare company. And our client applications actually use GraphQL as their primary interface. We were, once upon a time, I used to work for Doctor On Demand. It merged with another company, so it became this one company. And the choice for API stuff was made collectively as like, this is what we're going to prefer. Happens to be GraphQL. That doesn't mean I don't like REST. I actually probably prefer REST personally. And I used Django REST framework heavily at my day job for that. It's a great framework. There's a lot of power in there. A lot to learn because of that power, but it's really good. All right. Zephyr, I am using NeoVim. Let me read the rest of your question. I've been using NeoVim for a long time. I've been using, okay, correction. I've been using Vim for a long time. Started out on VI. That's kind of how old I am. And used Vim for many years and then switched to NeoVim. And I've been really happy with the experience. It's good plugins, good use of Lua. So very, very pleased with that. All right, so let's get configuring Waffle here. So we need a new requirement. And the project itself, if we jump over to PyPI, it's called, wow, no thanks, PyPI. Yeah, I did give up on the stubs and MyPy stuff with a lot of this Django stuff. I just didn't find it that useful for what I needed. So the thing that we're after is this, I believe it's called Django Waffle. Yep. So Django Waffle, it's purpose built for Django, as you might imagine. And it uses Django's models to store, we're essentially going to store state in the database. So we create these flags, and a flag is really nothing more than a row in the table, in a table that has a specific name, the flag name, and whether it's going to be on or off for user. Then the user sees a feature. If it's off, they don't see that feature. And you can use it just in an if statement like that. And it's a way to give you the ability to deploy a change out to a production site, even if that feature is not ready. So you could have it in a kind of a testing mode where maybe you turn a feature flag on for some beta group of users, or maybe it's just yourself trying to exercise functionality and you want to test it live, but you aren't ready to roll it out. So the idea is it's decoupling deployment, which is the activity of pushing code out to the production side, from the release of functionality. If you don't use feature flags, anytime you deploy, it implies that the release of the functionality happens at the deploy. And when you don't have a lot of users, maybe that's powerful, and maybe it's okay to go that way. But if you ever have a problem, then it usually means that, oh shoot, I need to undeploy that version or fix it very quickly, and you kind of scramble. And so feature flags take that pressure off of you because you can safely hide the new functionality behind a flag and only turn it on when you're ready and do the right testing. So that's really what Django Waffle gets for us here. So let's take a look at the Waffle documentation, get it going, get it installed, and talk through some of the settings. So I'm not really going to go into why Waffle. That's not really, you can go read that yourself if you're interested. But telling us what we need the request context processor, which we definitely use. And we're going to be using the auth system in the installed apps. So that's all okay. So we're good on the prerequisites for Django Waffle. And we want to install Django Waffle. Wow, these guys really need to, nobody should be doing this. Do not use easy install. I'm not sure why that's still recommended. It's just old documentation, I suppose. So we're going to come down here and add Django Waffle to our requirements. And I think the version was, I didn't remember, 4.1.0. Goodness, .0. And then the next thing we need to do is our pip compile command, which transforms our input requirements file into a full list of dependencies. So then I'll add Waffle to a requirements txt, and then we can do a diff on it and see what packages it brought in. Now Django Waffle doesn't have a lot of other dependencies, so it's not a really big idea. It does depend on Django itself though, which is why Django is included in this list here. So it sort of shows the reverse dependencies as well. Okay, let's go ahead and install that package. That was our pip install command that I just borrowed from the history because it's got some C flag attributes in there. And now we have Django Waffle ready to go. Let's return to the documentation, make sure we're not missing any critical steps. Yep, we got to add two things. We need to add Waffle as an app and then put in the Waffle middleware. Let's go do that. Let's go to our settings file. We're going to go down to installed apps, and we're going to put Waffle in the list here. I put the third-party stuff. I could treat this just like thinking about imports from Python, where first party is up at the top, and then the third party, and then standard library, which in this case is Django, and then third party, and then first party at the bottom. Excuse me. Misspoke. So we're going to add waffle here, and then we're going to go to our middleware and copy this line. And I don't know that it really cares where we need to add it to. So we can put it, let's see, we can put it after all the Django middleware. The only reason we're putting that white noise one up so high is because that's what white noise specifically recommends what we do. So let's put waffle there. That should be fine. And whoops, missing a comma. Thanks, John. Of course, Black was yelling at me too. Not Black, Rough. Rough did the formatting for me. Okay. So then we don't need to mess with Jinja templates, so we don't need to think about that. And there is going to be a migration to run. We'll talk about that in a second. In fact, actually, let's keep going for a moment. We're not upgrading, so that's not a big deal. So let's go to this configuring waffle and see what it shows. There's a bunch of settings that come with waffle. Most of these we don't have to set, but there is one that I do remember that we should use. And I gotta find it though. Actually, you know what? Let's go take a look at Homeschool so that I don't have to find it. Is this the right project? Yep. So let's go to the settings file here. Go to waffle. Okay. I'll talk about this one in a minute. We're not actually gonna use this one. We're gonna use this create missing flags flag. So coming back to Homeschool, let's go down to the bottom. We'll add our new section for, actually put it, let's keep these alphabetical. So let's do Django waffle here. And then waffle, what was that setting called? Create something. Create, oops, wrong focus window. Create missing flags, yeah. Okay, and I'll explain why in a second. Create missing flags. True. All right, so let's look at this. So actually, before I explain the setting, it probably helps to explain how Waffle manages this. Waffle has a model. One of the models is flag. And flag is like that mentioned earlier, it's that state that has the name and keeps track of whether something should be on or off. And that's just a record in a database table for all these flags. So what happens when a flag is added in your code and you haven't gone to that table and created it yet? That's what this thing is doing. And interestingly, the default behavior for this is to not actually do anything, which I think makes the flag behavior default to false. But so the only reason I turn this on is that so as soon as I deploy the code, if I go to the page at all and then go to the admin where I need to actually mess with the flag configuration, then I don't have to get the name of the flag exactly right and have a chance of typing something incorrectly. That's really my motivator for turning on this flag. It's mostly a convenience thing. The other thing that was in there, though, that you might have seen from the Homeschool app was this waffle flag model. And there's a default implementation of the waffle flag model in Waffle, but just like there's a default implementation of the user model in Django, there's also this notion of it being an overridable model that you can essentially derive from an abstract implementation model definition and create your own. And the purpose of that is it hooks into the Waffle system, but maybe you want to layer in your own special configuration, your flags. And in practice, I found that I just never used this. I put it in the Homeschool app and I just didn't need it. So I'm not going to bother with it for this app because I just don't think it's going to be fruitful for me. And it's fine from my perspective to stick with the default. Okay, so now that we have this setting there, we can come over to our local local instance and run migrate. And because we've added Waffle as an installed app, we should see it create where it's going to run the Waffle database migrations, which is going to include the flag model. And we should be able to test this out. So let's check out our app. Let's check out the admin and see if I can remember where the admin is. I think it was because we have a special like token path in there. So I think I have that. 5,000. Yeah, there it is. Am I still logged in? Nope, I'm not. Is this it? Nope. Did I just type it wrong? Nope. Ah, phooey. Did I put this in the README? Yeah, Matt. Create horse. Create horse. Okay. So now we've got this section for Django Waffle. And there's actually three data types that Django Waffle provides. I'm not going to go into each one, frankly, because I've never had use for samples and switches. Flags are the most flexible from what I've seen, and they're the most common probably. So we've got this place where we can add a flag, and I'll just for testing purposes here before we get into the sign up process, I'll show what this looks like. So we say we've got a flag, and I'm going to say, well, for now I'll be very generic. Call it testing. And by saying that it's an unknown state, that it's going to do this like later checking of who is this actually on for. In fact, all we have to do is set the name, and then we should be able to save this, and we'll see some stuff. So because this is set to unknown, it's going to do deeper checking. And who's it actually on for? By default, it comes on for super users, which the account Matt is one of those super users. So the flag would be on for that account. And then it would be off for these other accounts of staff and authenticated users. And then you can turn it on for everybody, either on or off. And you can be explicit about these things. So that's sort of how to read this. And then I'll show you later how this shows up in template code, because there's some template tags that we can use. And we can make use of it in our templates to show and hide functionality. And frankly, I think that might be it for our configuration for Waffle. Let's check, make sure our tests are still running. I don't want any surprises here, but it's a pretty quick one to set up. So we've got it in our settings. We've created that new setting. We added it to our requirements. Boom, that's it. And our tests are fine. So let's declare victory on that one. Nice. Got to update some pre-commit stuff here, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next thing. Add Django Waffle. And this fixes, what was that, 54, I think? 54. All right, we'll go ahead and push that up. Time to move to the next thing. We've got a sign up page. So we'll have our template to actually do the sign up process. And then we will have feature flag to control whether people can actually use it or not. And we'll keep this pretty stupid for the first time. Yeah, I'll show you what this means. So we need to take advantage of Django all auths templates. There's already a sign up. There's a specific sign up page that they provide, and we need to override that sign up page so that we can style it ourselves. And that's going to give us the chance to take advantage of the forms they provide too. So we need to also, like, in the process of building the sign up page, extract all of the same things that they include in their default form. So maybe we can do that by seeing, let's go to the Django all auth project. All auth, surely it's still in here somewhere. Whoops. Well, I don't know what happened to that version or that page. So let's do this. Go back to all auth here. And we are looking for templates somewhere in here. Templates, common functionality. So AllAuth app includes all templates, which can be found in the AllAuth templates directory. Let's go to that and see which ones we need to override. I think the ones we're going to be after are under this account path. Specifically, a sign up. Oh, what is this? Sign up closed. Is there a way to toggle that? Whoa, let's check this out. How did we get here? Because if we could do this without, if I could toggle sign up from AllAuth directly, and rather than doing a custom thing with waffle, that would be pretty cool. Huh. All right, let's search for sign up closed. Sign up closed. Closable sign up mixin? Oh man. Account sign up closed. Where does this thing get used? Closable sign up mixin is open. All right, talk to me. Where is this adapter? Is open for sign up. All right. This is cool, y'all. I'm learning something new here, but I don't know how to use it. So we get to fumble through this together. Learn something new today. So is open for sign up is the thing we're searching for. Is there a way to toggle that in an admin or noteworthy changes? Advanced usage. Okay. Added is open for sign up. When was this added? A long time ago. So I've just missed this for an exceptionally long time. Okay. So, following adapter methods can be used to intervene in how user instances are created and populated. Is open for sign up. The default function returns. That's for your question. Is that a throwback to? So it's because it's a mixin class. I don't know if that's a Python 2 thing. I think it's just like you can see that pattern. For example, Django REST framework makes super heavy use of mixin classes. I don't know that I've ever reviewed it as a Python 2 versus Python 3 thing. If you have thoughts on why you think that is, I'd be interested to hear why. Okay, so you can override this method by returning true or false if you want to enable disable social signup. Know the object. Oh, did I miss something? In the class definition. Oh, you're right. Ha, wow, that has been a while since I've seen that. Yeah, it's still valid syntax, but yeah. That's definitely a Python 2 thing. Good eye. I totally overlooked that. And frankly, I forgot you had to do that. It's been such a long time since I've been messing with Python 2. Okay, so we could control this by. Is this worth it? Is it, or it might just be easier since I'm going to override these templates anyway. Like this doesn't seem like it's getting us that much. If I just throw this into the same template, that the sign up page can have the same URL route too. So without like redirecting people to sign up closed, or because I think that's kind of what it seemed like it was doing. Is there a redirect in here? Closed. Oh, it's just rendering a different view. I thought it was showing like a different URL. Oh, that's just the name. Never mind. Okay, so this would work functionally the same. But and all I'm really getting out of this is that it's using the built-in all-auth method of showing this version of a page or that. I think I'm not going to do this because I think it's actually going to work to my advantage to control it with a feature flag. Feature flag is going to give me more power anyway. I think that this method here, well, that's not necessarily true. I could do an adapter, and I could wire up in the adapter my implementation is open for signup, and then put a feature flag usage in that is open for signup definition that I would provide. The effect is going to be the same. And this is going to be more clear to just do it in the template once rather than go through 2 layers of this stuff. So that's how I feel about this. Okay, so let's reject that idea of using this particular template. Although it's cool to know that it's there, it's just not going to be a good fit for how I want to think about this. And we've got our sign up page. And the thing that we need to observe here is what tags and stuff do we need? It's kind of hard to decipher all of this from this representation here. It's sort of hiding. I don't know what slots are. That's new to me. What is a slot? They write some custom tags? Or maybe they're using some other library that I'm unaware of. Interesting. So let's go look at the rendered version of this and figure out what fields we actually need, and not try and force ourselves to have to decipher all of this. And then we can kind of reverse engineer it and build our own version of the sign up page. Okay, so we want to go to good question, Zephyr. So I'm making this observation here that they have it looks like they have a custom template tag called slot, and I suspect that they wrote this tag. Well, one of 2 things must be true. This is not a default Django thing, this slot thing. So they either wrote a template tag, which you can do. Actually, you might be able to even see it here. Is it in all auth? Just curious. Yep. They wrote their own tag called slot. Curious. Wonder why they did that. Just to give themselves some ability to give sections, maybe? Yeah. Cool. I'm sure they did it for good reason, but I'm not going to use it. Okay, so we've got our local site stood up, or is up and running. We can go to, what is it, back on the, still in port 5001, which I still don't understand why it switched to the different port. And our sign up page should be at account sign up. Accounts. Did I hook it in somewhere else? Maybe I did. All right, hold on. That's the all auth URLs. Oh, you know what it is? I am logged in right now. So it's not going to, the sign up page is designed to redirect back. We went through all that all auth configuration, and when you're logged in, it has a redirect option of what to do. So the way that we have to actually see the sign up page is to log out, which is what I just did. Now we should be able to go to accounts, sign up, and see this page. Okay. So we want to style this page. It's got email, password. It has a call to sign in. If you already have an account, it's a good idea. So let's maybe write down the things we want on our template. So template has an email account, password field, email field. I've explicitly configured it so that you don't have to do the some sites like to do the double email prompt thing. Not going to do that. Don't feel like that really helps that much. Kind of a question of, well, I won't get into that. Never mind. Send to sign in page if already has an account. All right, on that, use a noun if a user already has an account. And are there any other interesting elements that we want to pull out of there? This menu, we're not going to use that. Because this is going to hook into the main user interface for the whole app. So if you want to go back somewhere else, you'd click the icon, the name of the service. We'll have links that can show up in like a header bar. All right, let's take a look at how this looks at the source level. Got login and sign up. Sending to the login page. Yeah, I don't even like the language. It's like they say login and then they call it sign in. Not cool. The field names. The name is just email. Okay, check this one out though. Password 1. Good times. It's probably because they can do you a double prompt password thing if you wanted it to. So name is password 1. Gosh, that feels like somebody's bad password, right? And here the name is email. Anything else we need in here? Standard submit button, labels. We'll need the CSR token. That's not a shocker though, because we have a form. All right, I think that's pretty good. So it's actually going to get us down to, there's a bunch of stuff we haven't done either. And actually, let me check the issues for a moment. We haven't started like a base page. Did I have that as a page? No. What's on this one? Add templates for login. Okay, that's later. Okay. I think we're ready to keep going. So in order to override this stuff, all we do is put our own version in the place where there's a certain like template resolution order, and if things appear earlier in the order, Django will prefer them over what might come in a third-party app. So if we go to templates, I think we can already even see the presence of some of this, where we have, these are 2 different templates that we overrode on the email level, but we want to put one in here. So let's go to this area and let's go up. It's not in this email directory, it's at this level. So we want to have sign up HTML. And if I say this, actually if I put like hello world and go back to our existing sign up page, hello world. There's also, oh man, that was interesting. I noticed that we have sign up here as the noun. Okay, I guess that's consistent. And then sign up as a verb as the action. All right, I'm not going to judge the default template. I appreciate this project too much to be judgy on it. Well, I'm going to make some stylistic choices a little differently, but that's okay. To each their own. All right, so what do we need now? We need in our templates directory. Like we have this index page. That's not what we want. I did this just to get something simple going, but really what I want to have is a base template that we use for everything, and then we can make our own subpages that hang off a base, and that will prevent us from having to replicate HTML head, body everywhere. This will give us the chance to consistently put in our Tailwind site CSS file that you can see here. So let's start with that. Actually, this is actually the template that I need. We'll do this. We will go up and we'll come out of core. I'm going to put this right at the root, and we'll create a file called base HTML. And we'll paste this content in. So now we have a base to work from. For the time being, until I have a better structure, we're going to rework base probably a couple times later, but we're going to start with, wow, why did you not detect that properly? Hold on, it's going to drive me crazy. My auto detection of new files is pretty bad, so I'd have to save it and like leave the file and come back in order to get the proper indentation. So we need a block here. We're going to have a block that for now I'm just going to call content. And we've got the end block to go with it. And this is where we'll be able to extend from any of these templates, put in our own content, which in this case is going to include a sign-up page. So by doing this, we should be able to go back into account now, into sign up, and instead of this, we could say, I believe it's extends. Ugh. I was just working on Jinja 2 last night, so now I'm thinking maybe I'm thinking Jinja 2. If I get this wrong, we can go check this template syntax. So this we'll put hello world here and end the block. And come back in here. Looks like I got it. So now if we go back to our sign up page, see if we notice any visual difference. Okay, it did change a little bit visually. That's because the reason is that Tailwind has now loaded, and Tailwind strips out all of the default CSS rules. So we should be able to inspect, and we can see our basic HTML setup here with our style sheet. So at this point, we are masters of our own destiny, and we need a form. I didn't pay attention to where it was submitting to. It's probably the same URL that should handle a post. So let's do this. We'll do form method equal post, and I'm going to comment. So there are lots of ways to do forms. You could do there's some popular packages out there too. I'm gonna give a nod to them. I've investigated these in the past, but haven't found them to be the right fit for me. But there is this project called Django Crispy Forms, which allows you to make forms faster. It's really great if you have a bunch of standard forms. And I probably should explore this a little bit. I don't know. Maybe we should take a look. Because the reason I haven't pursued this in the past is because I needed to have I needed Tailwind to use Tailwind for my project, and I didn't find that Crispy Forms worked well with Tailwind. You can see it had Bootstrap and Bulma support, but Tailwind at the time wasn't really supported. So I don't know what it would mean to do Crispy Tailwind. So let's actually take a look, see if I like the look of it. It may not be the style that I like, but let's check it out. John, does Vim have a snippet system? Yes, and this is an area where I should be much better about this and have snippet tools that will make my life easier. But I have not pursued that. Don't know why. um, just never invested in that. Probably to my detriment. Okay, this is scaring me away. Early stages of development. I don't know that I want to rely on that. But the idea with a crispy form is like essentially you pass in a form, one of Django's form objects, and then you use this filter syntax, I believe, of pipe crispy, and then it will translate. It'll dump out a bunch of HTML that's all in the style of whatever you want. What I don't know is like, how do you customize this? Like Tailwind is super customizable at the HTML level, and like it seems like you'd lose a lot of control over this. The other thing that I do know I want to explore is a feature that came in more recent versions of Django. And Django, what did they change? Django changed like how the default form controls are rendered. So like let's look at Homeschool to compare this, because I did some kind of gnarly stuff in Homeschool, and that I'm hoping that we won't have to do. Where do I have an example? So in our templates, forms, this section, I made this field thing that does like all this crazy stuff to make a very flexible field thing, and I've added all these attributes to make it look like what I want and have all the right values and stuff. And this was a total pain to put together, and put together in a way that I felt good about. But Django added this ability to make it so that you can, instead of having to define your own like mega class, you can now override each of the form elements that Django provides, and then hooks into the form rendering system, and specify your own template to use in place of that. So I think there's a lot more opportunity to get away from this insanity, and maybe get what I want in a cleaner way. But I haven't honestly explored that yet. I don't know that we will tonight. Maybe that's kind of an optimization of after we've done a form or two and we're starting to copy too much stuff around, then we can dig into drying that up and making it dry, being don't repeat yourself, just so that we get a cleaner ability to create, like here's a form field and it renders very cleanly. So that's a future project. All right, let's carry on. So we're gonna operate from a pretty naive point of view here, and I think even in this case we don't even actually need to specify an action. By leaving off the action, it should be a post to the same route that we're on, which I think what we want. So I think we can just leave it at method post, and then we need two inputs, right? We need an input that was, the name was email with a type of email, although I'm not sure I trust email validation on the client. It might be overly restrictive, but we'll start there, see how it goes. And we also need an input that is a name that they said was password 1. And that type is a password. And we need a, what is this? Button, oh gosh. So there's an input type submit, but I don't know that we want to use that, because there's also, you can also do the same thing with button. And I think these are all going to put this stuff into a straight line, because we haven't, these are inline elements, these inputs are. So this might just be one row when we refresh. Should be, I suspect. You can't even see them because they're completely unstyled. Why does it say submit query? What the heck? Okay. How do we use a button instead? I want to come back to go to my sign-in page here. It's probably a bunch of thoughts that I could steal from here. But there's a lot of stuff that I don't want to do either. Did we do... Yeah. There's a button. Because the sign up page is also a bit of a marketing page too. Like if we bring up School Desk. Here's my sign up page for School Desk. And frankly, I'm going to probably want something that's kind of similar. I want to keep it simple. Email, password, and a button to go. I forgot there are things that, good goodness. There are whole layers to this that we'll have to deal with. In fact, I'm going to write some of these down. We're going to need... SaaS just has so many moving parts that I forget about. Terms of service. That'll be a thing that we're required to have by law. And a privacy policy. Also required to have by law. The way this is presented here, and okay, I gotta give the standard developer disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. Go talk to a lawyer if you're building your own app. It might vary depending on what country you're in. But I think that this idea, if you read this, and it says, by continuing, you agree to School Desk's terms of services and privacy policy. This notion of putting that message there on the sign-up page, I think it's called click wrapping. Is that the name? Is that the term? Click wrapping? Yeah, click wrap agreement. So, yeah. Essentially, the idea is you have to get a user to say, I'm okay with these terms of service. I'm okay with this privacy policy. That's like kind of a US law perspective. The click wrap notion is that the fact that you've clicked the button is also your acknowledgement that you agree to those two documents. So you're breaking like the wrapping paper off a gift. Is sort of the idea. That's about as much as I can really say on it here. I mean, here's an example that from DocuSign of you're clicking an agree button. But what this is doing with the sign up page is it's folding the click wrap agreement of terms of service and privacy policy into the sign up flow to kind of reduce the number of clicks here. So that's this piece here. And we'll have some kind of similar marketing copy of, we're not going to give people a 60-day trial. It'll probably be just a couple of weeks. And we can think about how to represent this. Maybe we don't do it differently here, but it'll be something along these lines. So we need to add some basic styling for our sign up page. Yeah, we know exactly. I tried, yeah, that's a good point, John. Most people don't read terms of service and privacy policy. I tried not to be, well, I was cheap, first of all, so I didn't go consult a lawyer who was going to make me add the whole world to these things. But I found a service that will generate this, like, here's the terms of service for School Desk. You could probably read through this in 5 minutes. It's not that crazy. It just says I'm not going to abuse you as much as possible. Like I'm going to operate the service and I need the right to do that with your data. Same thing with privacy policy of like, here's what we do. Like this one might be a little bit longer, but this is the kind of thing that I'll do. Is it'll be as short and sweet as I can make it, that it feels enforceable. In case anybody was to ever get in my case and say, hey, you're abusing my data. What I don't know about is GDPR. We can cross that bridge later. GDPR is a whole other story. Might need some provisions in there. That's if you're not familiar with like building SaaS stuff, or you're not in Europe, that's the general data protection requirements. I don't know, something along those lines. It's the EU's policy on data usage for European Union members, and how websites are supposed to respect that by law. I always wonder about that, because this is like, I'm in the US and what applies to me legally, and can I just say I can't support this? I don't know. I think you really potentially limit yourselves, and there's probably some liability thing if the site's on the web and I don't do like region locking for if you're in France or something like that and you want to sign up for the service. Not really sure. Okay, sort of rambling. So let's get back to the sign up page. This is the other sign up page. I think we might have enough that we could fill this out and try it out and see if it works. What this should do, just to talk it out, is this will, because we've hooked up the console log to this thing, when we hit the submit button for a test email account, it will send the email out, but it'll show up on the console, and there'll be a link there that we can click that should allow us to verify that. So let's actually try it, see how it works, and see if we got it at all. Oh, you know what I forgot? It's not going to work, because I know it's not going to work because we forgot the CSRF token. So we need to include a CSRF token here. There's a hidden field that goes along with form submissions to make sure that Django can trust your form. And maybe we should add a little bit of styling here. Let's do that. Class, border. What's that going to do? If I just do class border, how's that show up? Whoops. CSRF token. Oh, boo. CSRF? Underscore. Thanks, John. You're a little faster than me. Okay. Try again. So we got a little border there. I think we can go ahead and wrap these suckers in a div. Just so that we get some separation. I could also do an inline block if I wanted to, but I don't want to. And we'll clean all this up later. I just want to get enough here that we can actually see something. Class, border. And the objective, just to remind ourselves of the objective is to get far enough that users can sign up, which I guess, shoot. That means that if I want to do this legit and not have any new potential beta users really have legal recourse in case they're not happy with something, I need to handle this privacy policy stuff and terms of service before we can really start accepting beta users. That stinks. So let's add this. Thanks for joining, Zephyr. Take care. Have a good one. So let's add the privacy policy and terms of service to our user's milestone. Or we can declare that it's live and I can open it up to people. We'll have to deal with that. The other thing that I'll talk about it now, just because why not? I mentioned earlier on the stream that I'm using SendGrid's free level right now, and I think this is something that we can figure out the volume of how many emails that I'm allowed, and from that make an approximation of how many people we could have trialing at once. And I've been trying to think of like from a financial perspective, if the goal of this is to be at least self-sustaining, because part of this is I'm rating this for myself to have my own journaling service, but it'd be nice if I didn't have to pay Heroku $15 a month for the privilege of being able to journal. So the goal is to be financially self-sustaining, and then ideally make some money. I don't have any wild ambitions with this, but never know. But the SendGrid stuff, as soon as we layer in a paid tier with SendGrid, that will jump up the cost. Like it'll triple or so the cost per month, because it's something like $30 a month for SendGrid's usage tier. So what I'd like to do is SendGrid, I think, allows me on this account to do something like, I think it's 100 emails a day. So we could carve that up pretty conservatively and say, hey, assuming that people are actually responding on average every day or two, then we can figure out if we have 10 users that are trialing, that would be 10 emails that were coming in per day, well within capacity. So we could put in some configuration that would automatically gate the sign-up process of, we had had the feature flag to turn it off or on, but also make sure that we don't overshoot the limits of the SendGrid account and allow enough people to trial, enough people to get the experience. And then as their trials expire and they age out, we can open it up to new people. And the hope would be that if some of those people that are trialing actually convert into paid users, I mean, even if I get to, I'm thinking of the cost of like $5 a month for the service. If I get to, 10 users or so, that definitely would cover expenses for the service and really make it appealing to the point where I could open it up more broadly. So I'm just trying to think about how do I prevent a flood that would force me to go to a more expensive mode of development. So that's something I've been thinking through that I think would be really easy to calculate, because we can very quickly do a query of how many users are actively trialing and make the sign up process contingent on that number. But that won't be today, that's for sure. And actually, let me capture that idea. Per variable permitted or enforce max number of active trial users. And we'll say cost control for SendGrid until service is self-viable. All right. We'll leave that note there for us for later. So, want to test our sign-up page. Test that this functionality is going to work. Okay, I want to change this value. Change this to, I think it's value. Oops, wrong one. Sign up. So now we've got, we've got one password showing off my email for all of these things, so that's not cool. Let me see if I can do a private window and try that way. Still gonna do? Okay, there we go. So let's do testing at somewhere.com, and we're gonna type in a password. Typing slowly so I can actually be sure of that. And we'll do sign up. Cool. So here's the default verify your email page. So we might need to customize that page. I might have one for that on our issues with the setup auth. Yeah. So I've got this as a note for us. When we get to this page next, we will have to customize the look and feel of that page to make it clean and not just the standard. But let's take a look at what this did with we should see some output here. So here's the actual, if this was sent to the console, and we've got our link. Whoops. We've already got this email address. So bad example, shoot. So they're saying, hey, this was somebody tried to use this. If this was you can do a reset instead. Well, that's interesting. That's not what I intended to show. Let's go try again. So we'll say, we'll continue to just show my email to the whole world. Super. Can't control everything. We'll go to the account sign up page, and we will type in testing 2 at somewhere.com. Got our password. Do the sign up. All right, so this flow would send out, this calls Django's send mail API, which we've hooked up to Django AnyMail. So this will go through SendGrid. So we probably actually have to factor this in as well to the overall email budget that we could have if we're thinking about allowing a certain number of trials. I'd probably want to be really conservative initially and then make sure, watch the traffic and make sure that we're not getting anywhere close to the limits. But you can see this is the content here, and we can customize this email, which I think we have as that other issue. That's the other thing. Did we already customize this? Is that what we, that in the format already? No, this is not customized. So this is, okay, so there's a missing one here. We need the template for the email verification. We've got that. We need the, need another one. So we need the email template for account confirmation. Yeah, for account confirmation. That's another one. That's what we're looking at here. And it includes this, well, what the heck? Did I use test? Oh, son of a gun. All right. Fine. I apparently have used both of those email accounts. Let's go check the admin and find an account where an email account that I didn't use. Email addresses. All right, well, I was going to run into some serious trouble. We could have gone testing 1 through 5. Or none through 5. All right, try again. Good grief. Sorry, y'all. Didn't mean to mess this up so many times. Log out. Gotta log out because after it seems to like log you in, but it just blocks you at that verification page. And then we're going to go to the sign up page. So now I'm going to do testing 6, and we should finally see the right thing. And I am going to record. There is the, I don't know that we need it right away, so I'm not going to put it with the milestone, but we need the, what is this one? It's the email already in use at sign up template. When someone signs up with the same email, the verified email holder gets a reset prompt. Customize that email. This is a really low priority thing, but it's useful to remember it. I do want to think through any of these email scenarios that we're going to have to do. As we get to password reset, I'm sure there's a few there too. All of these things is like, I don't want to have this crappy user experience where it's just the default and it's just, you know, they'd be functional emails, which is okay to start, but it'd be nice to, from a brand perspective, be able to smooth all of those over, especially if my product is all about interacting with you via email. If it doesn't have a cohesive feel to it, even if it's just in the language, then you're less likely to enjoy the service. So anytime we see one of those things, we want to catch it. All right, So now we're at testing 6. That was one that was okay. Somewhere.com. We're at the sign up page. I typed in a password. Sign up. Okay, here's a real one. And you can see here, I did customize this one. We did this one. We did the account stuff. Folks have maybe seen this in the past. We got here. But now we're actually using the real sign up page in this process to close the whole loop. So I should be able to take this link and open this URL. But unfortunately, this was not in my private window, so it signed out the account that was logged in and then confirmed the testing account at the same time. That's a weird behavior. But okay, it worked. So I feel fine about that. That knowing that the form itself works as expected. There are probably some things that it doesn't do that we should capture. But some of those things might come later, such as flash messages. So let's think a minute. How far do I want to take this right now? Is my objective here to make something finished and beautiful and move on from there? If so, we have a lot of work to do, from like style, design, structure, working through like look and feel of all of this, branding. There's all of those aspects. If, on the other hand, the objective is not that, and the objective is just, can we let people sign up so that they can start using the service, that is a different thing altogether. I'm leaning towards maybe somewhere a little bit in the middle with a Spartan interface, but a usable enough interface that is like not pretty, but it's not horrid, and it would allow people to sign up, because again, the primary interface through this whole service is email. So once you sign up, and if you're the only way you'd probably find out about this is through watching on the stream anyway. So really, you just need a mechanism that is reliable to begin your trial, and that would be good enough. So I think let's go with that philosophy in mind. Is we've got our base template, we've got some ability to style this thing. I don't know why I stopped that, but we don't have to optimize everything. Keep this going. And I guess we're also going to discover, well, this was picking up template changes, so that's cool. Didn't have to do anything for that. I already configured that. So let's make this pretty enough to declare it done. Yeah, I agree, John. Beta releases definitely should focus on functionality. And I'm feeling really good about the functionality. Like I've been using it. I've now been using the service a couple of weeks. There's a couple things that I do want to highlight that we'll get to. I write it down. Oh, I remember. There was this thing on, where is it? Shoot. Was it this? Okay, this is a wrong name. This wasn't the problem. Let's change this. So remove message clipped issue. So I disabled open tracking last time I streamed, thinking that it might get rid of this message clipped business that we were seeing, that I was seeing on these emails, and it didn't get rid of it. So I did some research on this, and so I'll note the problem for myself in the future here. As we're talking about functionality and making this actually pleasant to use. This is showing up on all of my emails. It's all of my content is there. Nothing is getting actually clipped, but it's showing this message, which just leads to the mindset that something could be clipped. And like that is, if I wrote a journal entry, I want to see all of the journal entry, and I don't want to see this thing that something's not there. So the problem may be in special characters that SendGrid is sending, and we will want to test this, try and test this locally if we can, and send in different amounts of text and see if we can kind of from the content of the email message do essentially a binary search and split up the message and see how much do we have to strip before that clipped thing goes away. And is it, yeah, right, John, it might be a character set, it might be something that's specified one way or appears one way, and like what gets rendered and then sent to Gmail is a different character than it was anticipated. I don't know. So that's what we'll have to investigate there. But that's probably not a today problem. Almost certainly not a today problem. So I do want to add, let's do this. Let's make this so that we can, on that form, nope, not that one. Over here. Ooey. Just go back. Yeah, on this form. Let's make this so this looks like a real button. Those look like they have a little bit of spacing, and we slap a header on there. Yeah. Or do we even need a header? Let's see. If I did. Yep, okay, I put it on there. So we can have it. The call to action could be Drew. Same thing. Put a container. Yeah, that's probably a good call too. Tailwind. There's some simple containers we can use, I'm pretty sure. Question is, do I want to put that in the base? Maybe. Let's put it in the base for now. Oh my goodness. I haven't added it yet to this stage. Okay. So we will do a div to wrap this stuff. Give it class, and we'll say container MX auto. That's gonna like essentially center stuff by default. Go check it out. Wow, that's funky. I mean, it did what you're, okay, what we can't see is that it put it on that whole container, but it's so wide on the screen that it's hard to tell. So this particular form, I might, well, I'm not going to worry about that right now. We can decide, like there's a brand perspective here of, do I want all my forms to be left aligned? Yeah, I'm going to put some margin on them here in a second, John. And we can talk about philosophies around margin and padding and all of that stuff. So let's throw on a header here, header 1. We'll say sign up. Now, even though we're using a header 1, because we're using Tailwind, this is just semantically meaningful for us, but if we actually refresh this, it's the same size as regular text. So we can say you need to give it a class size. So that would be something like text extra large, and start there. Probably okay. We can give it some, I probably don't want to do, right now I don't think I'd want to do horizontal spacing. I just want to worry about vertical. So let's give it some spacing above and below and we do that with margin. And to say the vertical, you use Y, just like XY coordinates, and we'll do 4. Tailwind has a whole spacing system. We go search for margin, show you all of like the numbers. Well, they're maybe not as easy to see as they used to be, but it goes up in certain relative number units. Looks like they keep adding more and more in here. Eventually it starts jumping up by, yeah. The low numbers have, I think, just about every number value. You've got 0, 1, 2, 3. Do they have all of them? 4, 5, 6, 7. When does it start jumping? 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow. 12. Okay. The first one they're missing is 13. Just like elevators, I guess. Okay. So we've got some top and bottom margin to give our sign up some space. And then I think, as I think about laying out a page, if I'm doing this manually, you could take a couple different stances. One, you could say like every element needs to worry about the space above it and the space below it. Or there's a strategy of every element should just worry about having enough space above it. Or there's another strategy where everything should just worry about having the space below it. I think I tend to prefer the idea where everything is just worried about the space below it. Like, how much do I need to space myself out? Now, that's not quite true for the top element. Top element needs to worry about both above and below, because if it didn't, then this would hang at the very top. But I think what I'm going to do for these other things is add some margin bottom here, and as a way to give space to each of these. That's how I'm thinking about these things as I'm working through this. So we'll do margin bottom, and we can do we'll start with 4 just kind of consistently, just to see how it looks, and come back over here, check it out. That looks to me awkward because I know there's a 4 here, and yet these are more logically clustered together. So let's try and switch that to maybe 2. See if the tighter grouping feels a little better. I don't know. Again, we don't have to get this perfect. I also need to style this thing to make it look like button-like. So let's put our class stuff here, and we can say we want to give this some padding. Oh, John, I see you left a comment. Yes. Right. Users don't understand that those headings have value for SEO. Yeah, definitely, for sure. All right, so let's try padding 2. So that's padding on all sides if you don't specify. So this is B means bottom, T means top. When you don't specify any of those things, either X, Y, or BT, or there's also left and right, then it's all 4. I'm just gonna like move the sign up thing over a little bit, but it's okay because we're gonna put a color on it, a background color. I've been thinking about the theme of this. We don't have any icon yet. We don't have any color, but the primary colors that I'm leaning towards my head is, the service is called Journey Inbox. So I was thinking about what are, like, I want that vibe of our lives are journeys, right? Um, they might not be exciting journeys, but they're journeys nonetheless of going through stuff day to day. But if I can make a connection, I don't want to connect to email. That's like less important to me. I want to connect to you're recording your journey in life. So um, I thought about different kinds of journeys that are out there. And the two obvious ones that come to mind, I'm sure there are many others. And, you could really get sci-fi and think about all kinds of journeys going from point A to point B anywhere. But the ones that sprung to mind for me were either like mountain journeys, like going like people going west in the United States when the gold rush and all that stuff, where people were migrating across the country and going into the rugged terrain of the west, or like a seafaring journey. And just knowing my personality and knowing what I prefer in life, I'm not a beach guy, so I was thinking more of the kind of rugged mountain forested kind of motif. Because of that, I'm thinking really fun or appropriate colors would be like rich greens and browns that could kind of tie together to give it that sort of rustic feel to a degree. All that to say is that as I'm thinking about what do I want my primary color to be, if they think about brand, you can think about any famous company and you can immediately think of a brand. Like if I said Facebook, you would know what brand color that is. If I said Snapchat, you would probably know what brand color that is, and so on and so forth. So folks in the design world think about primary and secondary brand colors and stuff like that. And the primary color that I'm thinking for this service would be a green. That's where I'm leaning. So I bring that up because I want to go ahead and style that. I want the buttons that I have to be in that primary color. And here's an example. The school desk has a primary and a secondary color. The primary color is this blue right here, and the secondary color is yellow. Those are the colors that when I was testing with my wife, that's the colors she wanted. So that's what I built. This product is more for me, so I'm picking my own colors here. So let's look for background colors. Background color. Where are they? Okay. And there's lots of colors here. There's a pretty rich color palette that we get from Tailwind. And I'm looking at green. I've got flux on right now, so I'm going to turn my flux stuff off so I can see the actual green colors and not have this like tainted yellow view on them. Very bright. Oh, they called them lime. Oh, interesting. So it's not just green. That's fascinating. Much deeper color palette than there used to be. Okay, cool. I like it. So teal has more of a blue tint towards it. Doesn't feel right. This feels more aquatic. Even emerald has still a tinge of blue in it. Here's the true green stuff. And I guess lime is the leaning towards yellow, which is if you think of it that way, it's more earthy. So I guess I'm trying to think if I want like kind of a true green in this range, like BG green 600, 700, somewhere in there, or BG lime at the deeper side, 700, 800. Don't know yet, so let's play with it, see how it looks. So we'll start with the BG lime at maybe 800, and we want to make this Do I set my colors as HSL or RGB? Well, that's a good question. I set my colors at whatever Tailwind says to me they are. I guess they've specified them as RGB values. Yeah, I know HSL is probably the more accurate color space. I think designers tend to prefer that, but developers end up thinking in RGB. HSL matters more when you're thinking about gradients and stuff, I think. And maybe we'll factor in some gradients. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go flat with the design motif, or yeah, there's just tons of stuff here. I think I'm just like leaning towards rough colors right now. See how stuff comes out, and we'll work backwards. All right, that's pretty green, and I can see the liminess to it. And it's, you know what, instead of messing with it, well, actually, never mind. The CSS reloader thing is not giving us all the colors, so it's only going to optimize and include the ones we literally have. So let's do this. Let's make a handful of these and test colors all at once. How about that? Let's do 700. I think that was the other direction I wanted to go with the lime. 700. And for the sake of it, we can go 900 as well. So we can have both sides of that. Put it up here. And then we can switch to green for these other buttons. And I think I said lighter greens, right? Like the limes I had to go pretty dark, but like 700, 600 maybe. Okay, let's see how these look. Okay. Right out of the gate, I think I want to rule out lime. Lime 700. Not digging that. It's like my brain went to, I don't know why it did this, but it went to like vomit. That's a little bit too much yellow in there. I don't know. I'm sure it could be made very pleasant in the right context, but it didn't feel right. And this is too chipper. So let's take out those two lightest colors. Between these, I think the straight green, like I don't get a connection. I don't get that, like a sense of forest. It's just straight green, which is not bad. It's just not the vibe that I think I want to go for. Now the question becomes, between these two, I think the 900 is too subtle. It almost it starts to border on, it's not, I mean, it's definitely not black. I can still see that it's green, but this definitely has a stronger green to it that I like. So I think I'm gonna stick with the lime 800. And we may find, yeah, I agree with you, John. We may find that once we frame in all of the colors, like put this in a context, you know, maybe for example, we go to the body and we decide that we want the background color of the overall app to be like a brown, something in the brown family, which would be, what's even, I don't know, let's try what might fit as an example. Orange 100. No, it's too light. Amber. Try amber. That's pretty neutral yellow. I'm just trying to give an example here of if we end up going with some kind of different color scheme, then it's going to have an effect on the overall tone of that green, which we may or may not like. I'm also not sure if I just want a background color over everything. I tend to prefer high contrast, and I feel like even if you add this is not a strong tone, but it does reduce some contrast stuff, and it brings about weird like usability questions of like should these be colored too? Should they be white? Should they be something else entirely? So we're not going to touch that aspect today, and I'll spend more time on my own because the style is really subjective. But having green for now is an okay start. Okay. So this page feels good enough. I'm not going to test this. The reason for that is that my opinion on other people's pages is that the logic of those pages is really up to the Django all-auth team to get right. Now I have to do my homework and make sure that the like I had to get the name and password field right. That was on me. But I'm confident that I've tested that here, and that's the right thing to do, and I don't think that those things are going to be changing, and I keep my eye on the change log for those kind of things. So if Django all-auth ever decided, you know what, we want our sign-up form to have different fields, I think that's the kind of thing that they would announce, because otherwise they'd break a bunch of people's stuff. So I'm doing just the actual like manual testing here to give me enough confidence, but I'm not going to go back and add automated testing after that. That seems like overkill because somebody else is testing that. So we have a sign-up page, very, very basic. We have it in a container now, so that gives us a place for all of our other stuff. Right, we forgot the feature flag. This is why we have checklists, y'all. So we've got the template kind of done. Let's introduce the feature flag, and that way we can get this deployed out there, because I'll comment on this in some stuff more about that in a minute. So the thing we need, so I'm showing you, this is homeschool again. So we need to bring in waffle tags. That's where you get the certain tags that you would need to use waffle. And you can see actually this project also uses a similar thing. So I'm going to follow suit. We're going to load waffle tags. Okay. And now inside of here, we're going to add use of this flag thing. And we're going to test it against no quotes, sign up flag. I'm going to comment on that naming here in a second. And you can treat flags, this custom flag, like an if statement, like a specialized if statement that's doing some additional lookup for you, so that you don't have to do the database query yourself. That's kind of embedded in this flag name. And we can include an else, and like I said, it works pretty much like an if statement. So else also works here, and we can take this tag and drop it here and indent that tag. And down here, so now whenever we're dealing with flags or just error conditions in general, this is an observation. When I worked at a ed tech startup, I worked with a really awesome product person there, And one of the things that she pointed out to me that I took away from her is that she said, you need to always make sure you put some thought into the empty state of things. Now, this is a feature flag, so it's not quite that scenario, but think about scenarios on a page where, and I'm sure you've encountered websites like this, where there is no data missing. Like you just signed up for some service, and I'm not even going to try and make it an example, but you just signed up for some service, and you go to some page, and they want to show you this very rich display of something. And if they had data, they would show you this like beautiful display. But somebody forgot to say what happens and ask the question, what happens when there's no data? What do we tell the user? This product person I work with, she pointed out like this is a great opportunity to have a call to action of, hey, the reason you're not seeing data is because you haven't done this yet, for whatever this might be. And including that description plus what you need to go do helps guide users. It's a good user experience to bring them in and say, like, here's how you go populate this stuff to make this site more meaningful to you. So that's just something that we'll see later on when there is missing data throughout the app. Of we should always be thinking about what happens when the data is not there. It's a pretty common edge case. It's not even really that edgy. And the same is true of feature flags here. We need to think about what do we want to do when this flag is off, because sometimes it's going to be off. In this case, I want to just message the users of, hey, sign up is not open right now, and actually probably apologize. So say something like, sorry, we are not accepting new signups right now. Maybe it's not the message people want to see, but it is a little bit more meaningful. And I'm going to do one more thing here. I don't like having all of this stuff be stacked, so I'm going to indent all of this so that it's all block content. That is a few more extra white space characters in the rendered output, but I don't care. It's not that big a deal. Okay, so where does that leave us after all is said and done? Take a look, see how it looks. So here we are. We've got this is evidence that we have this feature flag and it's not on right now. So now we can show what it's like when it's off and when it's on. That message looks appropriate to me. Again, not the coolest message in the world, but that's okay. And let's come in here. This is not going to work. Let's log back in and create horse. Okay. So we can go to our flags, and you can see the effect of that setting that we turned on today. The setting was, if the flag doesn't exist, make it. Add one to the table. The important thing is it has a default behavior. This is really important, that the default behavior is off, because the worst thing, or not worst, I suppose, that's being very hyperbolic. A bad thing that could happen is that you could add your new feature, you have this setting turned on, and you visit that page, and it creates the flag and turns it on for everybody when you might not be ready to do that yet. So by turning it off, it basically puts it in the safe mode. Anytime you're thinking about this, is like the on is the new stuff that you're trying to check. The off is like the safe experience. So it's off for everybody. We can come in here and we can just turn it to on by turning it on yes. And that turns it on for all users. We save this. Now if we come back over to this page and refresh, back to having our sign up page. Okay. I think that's probably enough of that. Let's see where we ended up. Really not that much code ultimately today. We've got 2 files that we spent a lot of time talking about them. But we've got our sign up page with our forms. We talked through some Tailwind stuff. We've made it meaningful enough. We've added enough style. We made a base template to base it off of. And I think we've got our sign up flow. And what issue was this for? Now we have our feature flag. So it's number 53. We'll say add sign up page fixes number 53. And our test should still work because, again, I didn't write tests specifically for that sign up page. Okay. So let's push that up to GitHub, and let's also go ahead and deploy. Whoops, I gotta log in with Heroku. All right, I gotta put on secret mode for a minute. I'm typing Heroku login, and they dump out my email address at some point in this process, so that's why I have to hide this. I'm bringing up my two-factor auth. Plugging in my email address and password, going over to Heroku, typing in the two-factor auth code, hitting verify. Oh, says that expired, and it did. Oops. All right, hit the verify page. I can close that tab. I'm now logged in, and again, it's dumping out my email address for the whole world to see. So that's done, but now I can be able to bring this back. All right, let's try doing deploy again. And with any luck, this should go off without a hitch. And then we'll be able to go to our sign up page. And because we've got the flag off, oops, okay, we got to update Heroku as well. We'll do that too. So that one's a quick one. I'll talk about that in a second. So it installed these new packages. It's going to run the migration to add waffle. It's going to collect static files first, though. And maybe we'll add enough of an index page to actually let people get to the sign-up flow. Here's the new waffle migrations. And we're done. Okay. Let's go to Journey Inbox. Nothing to see here because we're just loading a CSS file on this index template. But it's still working. That's good. But if we go to the URL and add in accounts and sign up, good. So we're seeing what I expect to see. So I have to go turn this on when we're ready to actually allow people to sign up. And I don't think I'm ready to sign up yet because there's some preconditions that I think that I want to have done before I'm comfortable allowing people to sign up. Let me turn Flux back on. This is hurting my eyes. Y'all are so good dealing with my white screen. So what do we really? This is actually a good question to ask ourselves. What do we really need in order to get people to sign up and be okay with that? Like, do we really need to customize the login template? Do we really need to customize the template for the email verification? No, not to get people signed in. So that is actually, I'll move that down. Not critical. I do want to get Stripe integration. I think that's important to go ahead and get people at least, oh shoot, is that okay? Let me think about this. with a Stripe integration and a trial. The trial, the idea is, how much do I want to get in this? How much time we have? It's already pretty late. Gone for a couple hours. I think I want to do Stripe integration, but there's some complexity there. And it has to do with Stripe. When you create the customer, you can put them automatically into a trial. And when that trial expires, have some kind of triggers and stuff, or set their account differently. I'm trying to think of how I want to react to that. Okay, but we do know we need to do a privacy policy and terms of service. Those like that click wrapping aspect that has to be on that sign up page. And I guess I completed that sign up page without having a page back to login. I don't care because we're going to have that in the header. So I know I wrote that in my list, but who cares? So those three things are like absolutely minimal to getting people in before I'm comfortable turning on any kind of turning it on for anybody. The other thing I want to do is that I do need to do this enforcement of I can only allow so many people to trial. We can do that after Stripe integration. All right. This is feeling more like the right order. There's some question I want to have here of what do we do with trials for this beta user period? Let trials continue. I don't know. All right. Okay. Let's maybe knock out one or two items. We still have the right time and see if that's going to work. Try to remember where I got privacy policy and stuff. I may steal this one from School Desk. Online privacy policy generator. I bet I looked up something like this. Maybe this was it. Well, that's sponsored. Oh goodness. Free. Oh man, there are so many laws. What the heck is CCPA? Oh no. Oh no. What the heck is the difference between a website and an app? Like a mobile app? I mean, this looks pretty familiar. Maybe this was the site. Because this is the privacy policy one, right? Yeah. Privacy policy. Logs. Communication cookies. How we use information. Log files. Cookies. What the heck? Oh no. No, I'm not doing this. Get the heck out of here. Okay, I don't know that I'm prepared to make a privacy policy page tonight because I might need to do some research on what's okay. Same with terms of service. Yeah, I'm going to poke around on some of these things and figure out what's right and then come back to it. I'll still do it online and show you all, but I think what I'll do is I will source it, figure out the right inputs to fill in, because there are some things about this, like on this thing, I'm basically the sole person responsible. I've got my name in here. This is where you might put a company if you had like an LLC or something like that. So I put my name, I put the site, and then I describe the page. I think my name might show up eventually in here somewhere else too. I don't remember. You can see it's been a long time since I thought about this. 2020. Long time since I thought about it. And laws change. So again, not prepared to do that. Let's look in here instead. So if we're not going to do privacy policy terms of use, should we think about the max number stuff? Now that's interesting. The max number thing is interesting because with the flag, I could just put this in the template, the control on whether you saw the sign up or not. If I do some kind of computation, now I'm talking about hooking into the sign up view itself, which might get me back to like that is open or closed thing. We might find ourselves back at that adapter, ironically, and be putting some of our own context in that template. All right, I think where I'm landing is, I don't know that I want to tackle all of these, the ones that we care about, which are these top 4. All of them have too much work to really invest in the next 8 minutes or so. I think we'll wrap up here. Yeah, that feels good. So what did we cover tonight? We covered adding feature flags and showed some of the benefit of using them and how they can gate functionality. And then we got our sign up stuff in there. And then we're really getting down to the core of what do we actually need in order to get people online. We got to check the legal box. That's the privacy policy terms of service. We'll check that next time. And then if we still have time after that, because these should be very static pages, it should be basically decide on the content, fill in the right values, and then translate that into a basic HTML page that is mostly static. That should be pretty easy to do for both of these things. It just makes getting that content in there. From the Stripe integration, there's more to do there. And there's more to do there because there's this whole, I don't want to directly connect to Stripe. There's a package in Django land called DJ Stripe that is a good interface to work with Stripe. It includes a lot of models that are useful that will allow us to store information about the Stripe accounts. And I guess I haven't even explained what Stripe is. I probably should pause to explain that. Stripe, if you've never used it, is a payment gateway. So they're the system for when the service actually has subscriptions, how are people getting charged? And how do I avoid keeping anybody's credit cards on my system? I don't want to deal with that security stuff. There's a bunch of legal stuff with that. So you let Stripe, a company like Stripe, you could also use some other vendors that are similar, like Braintree, that do the same kind of stuff. You let one of these vendors manage that relationship. They give you the ability to have a custom page where someone can go over, put in their credit card information, it stays totally on their system, and then Stripe comes back via some webhooks and some information, and you can maintain and update these accounts and do it in a way that is compliant with the legal system without you having to pay for all of that work. I think it's called OCI, is that right? To do credit card information stuff. That comes with a cost. It means that anytime you actually charge somebody, Stripe takes a cut of that money. But in my opinion, they are a good service. They were well worth that. They make a lot of subscription management, very easy to do. So we will want to integrate with Stripe as the payment gateway is kind of the term for what this vendor is, and figure out how to track Stripe accounts back on the journal side, because I'll need to be able to have that connection so that whenever you log into Journey Inbox and you want to go check on your subscription, either to cancel or switch from a monthly to an annual plan, which I'll probably support both of, you could do those things and we will have the right hooks to send you there. So those are the kinds of things that Stripe needs to do. Stripe has made this pretty easy over the years. That we've done this with Homeschool of you give some customization features, like branding colors and that kind of stuff. A little bit of JavaScript, which we can borrow heavily from Homeschool, and they send you off on the way, which is pretty nice. I don't know if things have changed because of everything seems to be getting more complicated with payments and privacy. So there's going to be some exploration to do there. But that overall flow is what we're going to go after, of make sure we capture the right information about accounts in Journey Inbox system and persist users over on the Stripe side to deal with that. So those are the big, that's like money and legal things you need to knock out to have an online service to actually pay for it. And that'll be in the future session. I think I will not be streaming next week because I will be in Georgia visiting some in-laws. So we will pick up, I suppose, next year, right? Calendar. Let's check it out. What would be next year? Yeah. Yeah. So January 3rd, I think, is the next time I'll be streaming. Thank you all for joining in this evening. Hopefully it was entertaining, and I appreciate the chatter, and I'll see you next time. Take care.